Part 4. The bottom half manages up, while the top half manages down. The content for this podcast comes from my book, Advanced Success Secrets. You get a free copy of each of my 8 bestsellers at alexhammerbooks.com. That's at AlexHammerbooks.com. Part 4 picks up where Part 3 obviously left off. Kind of like the legendary boxer Ali, I guess, when he employed the rope-a-dope strategy. Successful individuals understand well that they are targets. They have resources to hire others to back them up, lawyers, accountants, employees, etc. But they also relentlessly stay on task without allowing themselves to be distracted, to focus on the task at hand. This is part of taking responsibility for their lives and not blaming others. Successful people know that their self-control is critical for their success. Less successful people or unsuccessful people do not have this degree of self-control. They lash out at others and blame them. They do not take responsibility for the events of their lives, but instead, as noted in the previous book, live in woulda, coulda, shoulda. This emotional self-regulation and control is a tremendously critical factor in success. Those who can master their emotional states, especially in their interactions with others, are at a major advantage for success. So those in the bottom half manage up the top half. They do so because of magical thinking. They do so because of competition and in-out conditions. And they do so because of elements sometimes related to self-control. Of course, there are additional reasons as well. No matter the reasons for their managing up, it serves many useful purposes. It keeps those in power in check, at least relatively speaking, because they know that a lot of eyes are on them. We live in a world of accountability at all levels of society, but as one reaches higher levels, a higher degree of scrutiny takes place. The President of the United States, for example, is going to receive a higher degree of scrutiny and from more people than a local baker. And for good reason. It is important that the local baker does a good job, and customers in the state hygiene department, for example, could be factors in the baker's success or lack thereof. But the degree of damage that a president could do if he or she does a poor or corrupt job, getting us into an unjust war, as just one example, is on a much larger scale. So newspapers throughout the country will be focusing on the president's performance, a form of managing up, although the media in general also often supports the status quo, as will news and talk shows, bloggers, etc. When you're in the public eye, criticism and appropriate scrutiny from basically all levels is considered essentially fair game. Perhaps that is why individuals who rise high in politics are often termed highly political. They know how to give political answers when questioned. They don't crack easily, nor at the first tough question. They don't show uncontrolled anger easily. Sometimes the anger shown is in fact for effect. And they are, if they are to be successful, able to talk to and relate to a wide swath of constituencies and show interest and knowledge about their situations and plights. Perhaps that is why politicians are sometimes criticized also as being, or trying to be, all things to all people, or speaking out of both sides of their mouth, whoever the constituency is at the time. I am not anti-politician, not by a long shot. I ran for governor myself. I believe that any profession essentially can be noble or not, based upon how it is approached. So let's talk now about managing down. Those in the bottom half, if it could be phrased that way, because we're not in the top half or bottom half in all areas, of course, manage both up and down, as do those in the top half. But those in the bottom half of a specific area predominantly manage the top half of that area, while those in the top half in a given area predominantly manage the bottom half in that area. So what does it mean to manage down? One aspect would be thought of as exerting power over or control over those quote unquote lower than us, although an alternative aspect may be teaching or guiding others. For example, and lower is in quotes because everyone has equal human value. For example, do parents control their children or teach or guide them? Neither or both. Do judges and police exert power over those who come before them, or are they simply guiding others through the meeting out of society's rules? Certainly, the person in the role can be as critical as the role itself. You have abusive parents and you have loving parents. And what it means to be a loving parent is not certainly universally agreed. Is tough love part of being a loving parent? Is nurturing essential for being a loving parent? What if it bleeds into fostering dependency or enabling? One of the ways in which the upper half manages the bottom half is by roles. Teachers teach. Parents parent. Judges judge. Police police. And bosses boss. You get the idea. End of part 4.